California, the Golden State. Known for its stunning coastline, iconic landmarks, and vibrant cities, California has long been a symbol of prosperity and opportunity. From the bustling streets of Los Angeles to the tech hubs of Silicon Valley, the state attracts dreamers and innovators from around the world. Land of opportunity, sunshine, and Hollywood dreams. It's a place where people come to chase their aspirations, to bask in the sun, and to experience the magic of the entertainment industry. The allure of California is undeniable, drawing millions of visitors each year. But beneath the glitz and glamour, a darker reality festers. Away from the tourist hotspots and the glamorous neighborhoods, there exists a stark contrast. In the shadows of the skyscrapers and luxury homes, a growing crisis is unfolding. Walk the streets of San Francisco, Los Angeles, or Sacramento, and you'll encounter them, the homeless, men, women, and children who have been left behind by the very system that promises opportunity for all. Their presence is a sobering reminder of the inequality that plagues our society. They huddle in doorways, sleep on bus benches, and erect tent cities in public parks. These makeshift shelters offer little protection from the elements, and the constant threat of violence and theft looms large. For many, this is the only option left. Homelessness in California isn't just a problem, it's a full-blown crisis, and it's getting worse. The numbers are staggering, with tens of thousands of people living without a permanent roof over their heads. Each year, the situation deteriorates further as more individuals and families find themselves on the streets. The sights are jarring, families crammed into cars, veterans begging for change, young people lost in the throes of addiction. These are not just statistics, they are real people with real stories. Stories of hardship, of loss, and of a system that has failed them. The air carries the stench of urine and despair. The conditions are deplorable, with limited access to basic sanitation and healthcare. The struggle to survive is a daily battle, and the toll it takes on physical and mental health is immense. This is not the California of postcards and beach movies. This is a side of the state that many prefer to ignore, but it cannot be overlooked any longer. The disparity between the rich and the poor is growing, and the consequences are dire. This is the underbelly, a stark reminder that the American dream remains out of reach for so many. The promise of a better life has turned into a nightmare for those who have fallen through the cracks. The reality is harsh, and the need for change is urgent. The problem is complex, driven by a confluence of factors: a shortage of affordable housing, stagnant wages, inadequate mental health services, and the ever-present scourge of drug addiction. Addressing these issues requires a multifaceted approach, involving government, communities, and individuals working together. But behind the statistics, each face tells a story. A story of resilience, of hope, and of the human spirit's ability to endure even in the harshest of circumstances. These individuals are more than their circumstances. They are people with dreams and aspirations just like anyone else. Stories of hardship, of loss, of broken systems and shattered dreams. Yet, amidst the despair, there are glimmers of hope. Community organizations, volunteers, and advocates are working tirelessly to provide support and to find solutions. Their efforts are a testament to the power of compassion and solidarity. These are the stories of California's homeless. Stories that need to be heard, understood, and acted upon. The road to solving homelessness is long and challenging, but it begins with awareness and a collective commitment to change. Only then can we hope to turn the tide and create a future where everyone has a place to call home. The numbers are impossible to ignore. They paint a stark picture of a crisis that is growing more severe with each passing year. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, in 2023, California had an estimated 171,000 homeless individuals. This figure represents a significant increase from previous years, highlighting the escalating nature of the problem. That's more than any other state in the nation, accounting for nearly 30% of the entire U.S. homeless population. This disproportionate share underscores the unique challenges faced by California, and these are just the ones who could be counted. Many more remain unaccounted for, living in hidden corners of cities and rural areas alike. The true number is likely much higher. Experts estimate that the actual homeless population could be up to 20% greater than reported figures. Los Angeles County alone is home to over 65,000 homeless people, making it the epicenter of the crisis in California. With San Francisco and San Diego not far behind, these cities are struggling to provide adequate resources and support for their homeless populations. These cities are grappling with a visible and growing crisis, one that strains resources and challenges the very fabric of their communities. The impact is felt not just by those without homes, but by all residents. The streets have become de facto shelters, with people living in squalor and desperation. Public spaces are increasingly being used as makeshift homes, leading to tensions and conflicts within communities. But the problem extends far beyond major urban centers. Smaller towns and rural areas are also seeing a rise in homelessness, often without the infrastructure to support those in need. Smaller cities and rural areas are also struggling to cope with rising homelessness. These communities often lack the resources and services available in larger cities, making the situation even more dire. The crisis has become a statewide epidemic, touching every corner of the Golden State. From the bustling streets of Los Angeles to the quiet rural areas, no part of California is untouched, and the numbers continue to climb. Without significant intervention and support, the situation is expected to worsen, affecting more lives and straining communities even further. California's homelessness crisis didn't happen overnight. It's a complex issue that has been brewing for decades, shaped by a myriad of factors that have converged to create the perfect storm. It's the result of decades of policy failures and systemic neglect. From the lack of affordable housing initiatives to the insufficient support for mental health services, the roots of this crisis run deep. In the 1980s, the state began dismantling its mental health system, releasing thousands of patients onto the streets with little to no support. This decision left many vulnerable individuals without the necessary care and resources, leading to an increase in homelessness among those with mental health issues. At the same time, housing costs began to skyrocket, driven by a shortage of affordable units and a booming tech industry. The influx of high-paying tech jobs created a demand for luxury housing, pushing prices up and making it increasingly difficult for average Californians to find affordable homes. The gap between wages and housing costs continued to widen in the 1990s and 2000s. While the cost of living soared, wages stagnated, leaving many working-class families struggling to make ends meet. This economic disparity further fueled the housing crisis as more people found themselves unable to afford basic living expenses. The Great Recession of 2008 only exacerbated the problem, pushing more families into foreclosure and onto the streets. The economic downturn led to widespread job losses and financial instability, causing a surge in homelessness as people lost their homes and had nowhere else to turn. By 2010, California's homeless population had reached a critical mass. Shelters were overflowing, and large encampments began to appear in urban areas, highlighting the severity of the crisis. The state had become the epicenter of a national crisis. News headlines frequently highlighted the growing number of homeless individuals, and the issue became a focal point of public concern and political debate. Today, California's median home price is over $750,000, more than double the national average. This staggering figure underscores the extent of the affordability crisis, as even middle-class families find it challenging to purchase homes. Rents are equally exorbitant, with a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco costing an average of $3,500 per month. The high cost of renting has forced many to live in substandard conditions or to share cramped spaces with multiple roommates. For those living on the margins, finding affordable housing is nearly impossible. The lack of affordable rental options means that many are just one financial setback away from eviction and homelessness. The result? More and more Californians are finding themselves priced out of their homes and forced onto the streets. The state's housing crisis is a stark reminder of the urgent need for comprehensive policy solutions to address the root causes and provide support for those affected.